As you could probably tell from my last video, I was kind of befuddled by this image. And since sometimes I believe in the wisdom of a crowd, I ran a little survey on my channel. And of almost 500 people who responded, roughly 2 out of 3 hinted that this ship might be a Gutamaya. Now, again, you have to take these with a grain of salt because sometimes this is projection, sometimes there's reality. But when such an overwhelming majority of folks believe something, there's usually something there. So it got me really thinking and wondering what makes people think this could be a good Amaya ship. So I started having a look and I started taking some screenshots and comparing with the 3 main Gutamaya ships, which are the Courier, the Clipper, and the Cutter. Sorry, Imperial Eagle, you're a Core Dynamics spin-off, so I'm not going to include you in this comparison, even though I love you. I love the Imperial Eagle. Very fast ship. Like, bit skitty, but very fast. So I started kind of exploring. And by the way, I'm always fascinated at the attention of detail in these models in the game. But kind of by the way, you kind of never, practically ever observe because like you never see your ship from the outside. You only see the cockpit of your ship. So if you ever kind of take some time to actually look around your ship and look into the details, like I'm still mind blown. Like 10 years into this game as to like kind of a detail that I find out that I've never paid attention to. Like for instance, and we'll get into this into a moment, like the power conduits with the actual energy flowing on the side of some of these ships is not something I've ever noticed before. So anyway, anecdotes and random things aside, um, the reasons people are calling this more likely than not a Gutamaya ship is the signature blue lighting on the outlines of the openings of a hull, in addition to the curvy, smooth lines that um, are kind of trademark hallmark of the Gutamaya ships. Even though this is clearly not fully painted white, which would be also its kind of signature color, might be too much of a dead giveaway. The side opening with the blue light is probably the biggest indication. And if you look at a comparison in particular with the Clipper side opening with the power conduits that I was talking about earlier, which again, if you actually look at this in game, you will see actually the orange flow, which is really cool. Take a look at it if you have the ship. In this dry dock version, what appear to be empty power conduits aren't orange because like presumably these aren't powered yet. So this is my very crappy attempt at like colorizing them to give you a sense of like what this could look like in terms of like the actual power conduits. But if this is the case, this could be an actual giveaway of this being like a Gutamaya type of design. Noting again that these would be vertically going power conduits versus a grip clipper that has some horizontals, but still very similar in terms of overall design. I've also kind of like starting to come about in terms of thinking that this is a small ship, as I said originally. In terms of like re-looking at it and the overall size of it, I do hear the argument of people that say this is a medium ship, which is interesting because it could be finally the long-awaited medium-sized Gutamaya ship. I always forget that the Clipper is not a medium ship. I very often try to land it on a medium pad with terrible results until I remember that it's a large ship. It really flies like a medium, like a fat medium, as we say. But yes, we might really get a medium Gudamaya ship after all. And it will be interesting, like in terms of how it flies and what it is. And to further speculate, like what it could and couldn't be, it's fun or interesting. And you may agree whether it's point full or point less, but it's good to look at a little bit at the history of Ships and Elite and from the original games. And in particular, this is the Frontier First Encounters ship chart from the predecessor, if you want, of Elite Dangerous. And things were different in Frontier First Encounters. For one, the Imperial Courier was kind of a bit of a signature ship in that game, in that it was actually the ship that was featured in the introduction. And it was a very different ship from the Courier, the same name ship that we have in Elite Dangerous, because the Courier is a very small, fast, and light and agile ship. The Imperial Courier in Frontier First Encounters was actually a pretty big, expensive thing. It was, I think about the equivalent of like, what would be, it'd probably be a bigger Python if I was to kind of like create an equivalent in Elite Dangerous. In addition, in Elite in Frontier First Encounters, we had a ship which was called the Imperial Trader. The Imperial Trader was recreated in Elite Dangerous as the Clipper. I don't know why they changed the name. I guess Imperial Trader was too generic. But in fact, if you look at the file structure of Elite Dangerous, Empire Trader is the internal name of the Imperial Clipper. So that ship was effectively rendered as the Clipper. I'm still sad that they didn't put the third top nacelle on the back of the Clipper because, candidly, I thought that was a rad design of the Imperial Trader, and I'm sad to this day that they haven't rendered that anywhere in Elite Dangerous because I think the third top nacelle looks really cool. But that's what it is. And obviously, we had no such thing as a cutter in Frontier First Encounters. So there really isn't like an immediate comparison in the sort of array of ships of Frontier First Encounters where an Imperial ship would be a natural leeway or like would breed a natural successor um, in Elite Dangerous because like none of the other ships like all the other ships that you can see here are either small ships or the kind of multi-purpose or like traders. Like, I'm just trying to think about whether there's anything else, but not really. Like the Puma Clipper, which again is interesting because like the Imperial Clipper kind of is based on the Imperial Trader, but stole its name from the Puma Clipper, which in turn was originally sold in the game as a Panther Clipper Light. There's a whole joke about it in the actual game manual if you ever care to read about it. But um, to this day, we never saw anything like the Puma Clipper or the Panther Clipper in game. And by the way, for all the folks who actually have said in the survey and in the response to the comments below that the ship that being teased might be the Panther Clipper, I can tell you with the very reasonable degree of confidence, it looks nothing like a Panther Clipper. So again, I might have to eat my hat or something if I get proven wrong about this, but it really looks like nothing like the Panther Clipper or anything like you've even seen in terms of the concept design of the Panther Clipper. So again, we may be surprised, but I think everything points to this being a medium Gutamaya ship. Um, what purpose and what role it will fill, who knows? But that's what the evidence is leading us to. In other news, across the galaxy, we have a new community goal where commanders are asked to bring a number of resources to Burra Corporation in the Minerva system to aid in the, I guess, assembling of the exploration carriers, whatever they're going to be called, like the big exploration-like ships that are meant to support colonization. No clear idea of what specific gameplay impacts that or any that we would have if the CG succeeds or doesn't. There's also a companion CG, which is a bounty hunting CG to protect deliveries to Minerva, so catering to both commanders focused on trading and on combat. The reward for this community goal is a sticker, a decal for your ship, which is available with a meager contribution of 1 unit, either of bounty vouchers or of commodities, which makes me smile in a way because like it kind of reminds me of me and my kids, like when they are kind of like not doing what I want them to do. I'm like saying, "Hey, if you finish your lunch, I'm gonna give you a sticker," and suddenly magically it sounds like finishing their lunch becomes the most important thing of their lives. And it sounds like us as players actually work that way too. The power of stickers and human psychology is indeed remarkable. So, what are you willing to do for a sticker? Betrayal? Theft? Arson? Murder? Let us know in the comments below. Commander Mechan, over and out, and glory to mankind.